Special Districts Association of Oregon is proud to present the Howard Terpenning Lifetime Achievement Award to George Dunkel.
I've known George for nearly 30 years, starting when he was at Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue, then Fire Chief at Columbia River Fire and Rescue, then SDAO Board President, and eventually the creator and manager of SDAO's Consulting Services Program. George fills the room everywhere he goes. It's impossible to be around him more than 5 minutes, no matter where you are in the country, that he doesn't run into someone that he knows. And when he does, he greets everyone in the same welcoming and warm way. George loves people, and people love George because he has a way of making everyone feel valued. It's not an act. He's one of the most caring and welcoming individuals that I have ever met. It's impossible to put a value on what George has done for SDAO and the special districts we represent. From his leadership on our board to a staff consultant helping thousands of districts, you can't put a price on the wisdom he has shared and the integrity that he's brought to every interaction. Lucky for all of us, even though George is retired as a full-time SDAO employee, he's not going away, and he's still working part-time on consulting projects and continued board training. I know my life is better because George is part of it, and I'm certain that many of you feel the same way. Thank you, and congratulations, George.
So years ago, when we were creating this award, the Howard Terpenning Award, it was interesting how Frank Scott and Kevin and Mike and I were all in this room, and we were discussing the award, and how Howard Terpenning was so involved and so passionate, and his whole life's work was for special districts benefit. And all I could think about during the entire program, the entire discussion, the entire idea of this was George Dunkel.
It was a privilege for me to have known and worked around Howard Terpenning and the founding fathers of this organization of SDAO, SDIS, and to learn about their vision was at the time and how thrilled they were to where we were, when they no longer were real active with us, and where we are today.
George has never been a stranger. It's not that you don't know him, it's just that you don't know him yet. He's going to approach you, he's going to talk to you, and in 10 minutes, you'll be hugging. You'll be thanking him, you'll exchange phone numbers, all the things that you would do with your lost uncle you haven't seen in forever. But he's your new best friend. And that is George Dunkel to me.
Well, right now, George Dunkel flinched seeing me pop up on this video, which makes my day. I first met George Dunkel when I was hired to be an assistant chief at Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue, and he and I were assistant chiefs together. And of course, George was the guy. He had come up in that department. He knew everybody, and everybody knew George, and he was a massive resource for me. But George was in operations, and I was somewhere else. And George had a partner at the time named Dave Fox, and Chief Snook didn't like the fact that George always saw the best in everybody and everything, and Fox hated everybody and everything. So Chief Snook put these two in the same office with a desk facing each other, and he told Dunkel, he said, "You two are sharing an office until given any situation, you two come out of here with the same answer on any given situation." Well, that caused great frustration, and Fox, who was a neatnik and had a perfect desk, and George, whose desk looked like there'd been a nuclear explosion, set the stage for what became ripe opportunity for me. And one day, because I typically worked late and George didn't, I went in and started messing up Fox's desk, and I would put the remnants in George's trash can, and lo and behold, Fox blamed George. And that began to be the beginning of a lot of fun I'd have messing with George Dunkel.
Hi George, it's Betsy Johnson. I am actually speaking to you today from the Floyd G. McMullen conference room that is located right behind the Senate chambers. This room memorializes the firefighter who was regrettably, tragically killed when the first Capitol burned down in 1935. Floyd G. McMullen was a student at Willamette and was involved in trying to fight the fire at the Capitol. And so out of respect for your long career in firefighting, I put on a fireman's hat and I tip it to you. Congratulations on this significant award. Beyond being a fireman and a significant fireman, George started out as a volunteer, then moved to a professional firefighter status with what's now TVF&R. He came back and was the chief in St. Helens, credited with being the mediator, the negotiator, the cajoler, the cat herder that eventually consolidated fire districts throughout Columbia County. George went on to have an extraordinary career with Special Districts of Oregon. He is seen as the fixer, the guy that Special Districts Association of Oregon sends out when special districts need particular assistance in working through some of the thorny issues that they are called upon to deal with. George will be hanging up his active go bag and get in the car and go someplace career and becoming a senior consultant to that program. But I want to touch briefly on the George that I know, a volunteer, a communitarian, an unflappable supporter of all things charitable, good in the community, a supporter of youth athletics at all levels. He participates in the auctions in the school districts that help raise money for good causes and athletic equipment. George is constantly cheerful. I have yet to ever see him grumpy or mad. I have yet to have anybody ever say a bad word about him. George is the kind of guy that every community wants to be their neighbor, their friend, and their leader. And so it is with particular pleasure today that I extend my very best wishes to George Dunkel on the receipt of this prestigious award. And while I think he may be going in his mind to emeritus status, I'll bet you he's pushed back into service sooner rather than later, because George's toolbox of skills is unique. His ability to bring people together, second to none. Plus, he's just a damn good guy. So George, congratulations. My best wishes to you.
I can't think of a single person in my 40+ years in the Oregon Fire Service that deserves this more than George. He has put SDAO and fire districts on a whole nother plane. Everyone knows that George is a problem solver. He's there to help you. He understands fire chiefs. He understands elected officials. They ought to name this award the George Dunkel Lifetime Achievement Award, and I'm proud of you, George.